Merry meet and welcome to Jupiter's Radiance. I'm Taylor and happy April Fool's Day. So I don't normally like this day, but I do like the Fool in the tarot. So that's kind of what we're going to be focusing on. Today's card spread is just the Fool spread, and it is to help support whenever we are starting a new phase and just kind of wondering about that and helping us open ourselves up into that new beginning. And so with that, let's go ahead and get started with our Fool spread. And so we have our identifier card, the Fool, here. So this is best done with tarot, but you can use any kind of like beginner card that really signifies or carries that same kind of archetype energy as the Fool. And so then we have our card number one. This is like, where are you a fool in currently? And so this is literally just like what, giving you the background information you need to know for like what new phase that you are currently entering. If you want, you can have an additional card about what phase you're leaving to help give you further insight into what you're now opening up into and kind of what lessons you'll be applying moving forward. But you don't have to go that complicated if you do not want to. And then we have our card number two here. That's going to be our head in the clouds card. So typically with a Fool, we have our head in the clouds and we have to watch out for the cliff's edge, which we will get to. But so for our head in the clouds card, this is going to be, what are you dreaming about? So this phase isn't a very intentional phase. It's a very much just kind of like a wondering phase, a wondering and wandering phase, if you will. And so bringing us to our cliff's edge, this is going to be kind of like what you need to look out for. And then our card four is just going to be some advice. So this can be advice either for like what you need to know about what you're dreaming about or what you need to know about the cliff's edge. So kind of give you a little bit leeway there for just general information that you need to know. And there you go. That's going to be our Fool spread, letting us know how we're opening up into this phase and stepping into our first steps of just mental action before we get into actual action. Let's get started with our collective reading spread. So again, we are doing where are we a fool in? So essentially, what new phase are we entering currently? And so we have the Four of Pentacles. So this is letting me know personally we're entering a phase where we're kind of keeping a little bit more to ourselves, but more importantly, it seems like we're understanding our financial budget a little bit more, our financial restraints, and we're working within those. And so there is a message here that there is a little bit of a need around financial insecurities as well as just general insecurities, because there seems to be a little bit of gossip around and you want to feel like you're hiding yourself from that. So that's kind of where this new phase that you're entering. So you have to think, right? You're not necessarily going to be like, oh, I need to immediately be aligned. This is a bigger phase that you're working through. And so this is something that is going to be a journey, and we're just merely on the first step. And so with that in mind, let's take a look at our head in the clouds. What are we dreaming about? And so we have the Nine of Swords. So this is letting us know that we essentially are having nightmares, right? We're not really having good dreams. And so this is a very interesting energy for the Fool, because normally the head in the clouds is going to be your positive point, but this is letting you know that what is distracting you so much in the clouds is actually a lot of negative influence. It's not necessarily positive. So kind of just keep that in mind. We're going to go ahead and continue the reading and maybe loop back to that just in case there's further messages, and I don't want to get ahead of the advice coming forward. And so, because then we have our cliff's edge, what to look out for, and we have strength. So I actually really love this spread right now because it is the reverse intention, because the phase we're entering comes through as releasing this insecurity and working through to where we are more confident within our abundance and the way that we hold ourselves within the world. And so that's why we have a lot of nightmares, because that's where our mental space or distraction space is. But our grounding space, the cliff's edge that we need to look out for, is that we have strength. So it's kind of interesting, because it's like if you take a tumble, you may actually just find out that you are resilient enough and like will be able to keep getting back up. So very interesting messages. And our advice is going to be King of Wands. This is such a good message of advice. So, because this is actually going to be advice that helps loop in the fact that you have this strength to be able to keep building up, but to help, it's actually advice to help you get out of this nightmare space. So the King of Wands is very related to the Magician, which is ironic because Magician is the next step, but it also is going to have all that manifestation power that comes with the Magician as well. The King of Wands typically can see the whole plan from the first step to the ending step. So your advice in order to get out of this nightmare space is maybe to think through the plan a little bit more. So instead of like being like, what could go wrong, start thinking about like, what your actual goals and desires are for yourself in that space, and start to work yourself backwards, and you'll be able to start seeing, you'll build like, oh, well, I need to do this first. Oh, and then later I want to be able to do this. Well, then I need to be able to do this. And you'll have this back and forth energy where you're able to build up an action plan of sorts. And it's still all just mental space. You're not really necessarily being super active. You're just allowing yourself to transition from this nightmare space into a much more positive planning space. Okay, that's going to go ahead and be our collective reading. I hope you guys are enjoying yourselves, being safe today, and I will definitely see you next week. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more weekly spreads to help support your own intuition and your soul growth. Don't forget to comment. Let me know how this is resonating with you. If you tried it with your own tarot decks or other oracle decks, what did you use in place of the Fool? And again, we'll see you guys next week. Blessed be.